2047. It's literally just around the corner, right? But for one of the world's most populous and dynamic nations, it represents an absolutely massive milestone. Because in that year, India is going to mark exactly 1 century of independence. But hey, to figure out where a nation of over 1 billion people is heading for its 100th birthday, we actually have to look at exactly where it came from, how it was built, and the immense hurdles it has to clear to get there. Okay, let's dive into this.
Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're charting an awe-inspiring trajectory, India's journey to becoming a fully developed nation by 2047. To help guide us, we're using this fantastic framework put together by Dr.M.Rajesh, Senior Regional Director at the IGNOU Regional Center in Thiruvananthapuram. His presentation, Yuva Samvad, India at 2047, brilliantly captures the sheer scale of the nation's past, present, and a really ambitious future. Because let's be real, if you want to understand the global economy of tomorrow, you have to understand how this modern superpower is being forged today. You're in exactly the right place.
So here's our roadmap for today. We'll start way back with India's ancient roots, look at the bedrock of the Indian Constitution, and contrast 1947 with today. Then we'll examine the challenges to Indian democracy before wrapping up with the grand vision for India 2047. Let's get right to it.
Section 1. India's Ancient Roots. You know, to truly grasp the ambitions for 2047, we actually have to jump backwards, like thousands of years backwards. The concept of India isn't a new one at all. Just look at this gorgeous quote from the 5th century Sanskrit epic, Kumarasambhavam. It describes the divine Himalayas up in the north, dipping all the way into the eastern and western oceans, standing as a measuring rod of the earth. I mean, wow. Even 1,500 years ago, the cultural and geographical footprint of this civilization was already being conceptualized on an epic continental scale. The crucial takeaway here is that modern India wasn't just built on a blank slate. Not at all. It's built on the foundation of these majestic, sprawling dynasties. We're talking about organized societies stretching way, way back to the Harappan civilization in 3300 BCE. We go through the Maurya and Gupta dynasties that shaped ancient thought and administration, through the architectural and cultural peaks of the Mughal dynasty, all the way to regional powers like the Travancore dynasty, which lasted right up until 1949. This deep, rich legacy is essentially the soil from which the modern nation grew.
Which brings us to Section 2. The Indian Constitution.
So how exactly do you take that massive, ancient, super diverse history and organize it into a functioning modern state? Well, you write the longest constitution in the entire world. This document is the absolute bedrock of the nation. And what's really fascinating is how it pulled the best ideas from all around the globe to manage its unique complexity. The preamble and fundamental rights, inspired by the U.S. Constitution. Fundamental duties, drawn from the Soviet Constitution. It even kept the core essence of the 1935 Government of India Act. To manage all this power, they set up 3 distinct lists, central, state, and concurrent, and organized the whole shebang across 12 schedules. It is a literal masterpiece of complex administration.
But here's the thing, a constitution for a rapidly growing nation can't just be frozen in time, right? 106. That is the number of amendments made to the Constitution under Article 368 so far. This number proves that we're dealing with a living, breathing document, spread across 25 structural parts and containing sweeping emergency powers. It was specifically designed to evolve and adapt right alongside the people it governs. And we can't forget that this whole constitutional framework was essentially paid for by the core values of India's freedom movement. This democratic republic exists today because of the incredible ideals championed during the struggle for independence. We're talking nonviolence, the pursuit of truth, and just immense sacrifice. It was a movement totally characterized by unity in diversity, the empowerment of women, and the vital role of the youth. And as Dr. Rajesh's presentation points out, these aren't just historical footnotes. They're values meant to translate directly into ongoing national action today.
All right, Section 3, 1947 versus today. Now, what's really interesting about this next part is the sheer scale of the change.
That constitutional foundation really set the stage for progress, and the undeniable scale of the contrast is just staggering. Let's look at the baseline metric of national wealth. Back in 1947, India's nominal GDP was around $40 billion. Today, it sits at a massive $3.732 trillion. And when you adjust that for purchasing power parity, that number balloons to over $13 trillion. This isn't just regular growth, it's a complete economic metamorphosis. It absolutely proves what a unified, newly independent nation can achieve in just a few generations.
And this metamorphosis touches literally every single sector. Per capita net national income has surged from roughly 2,400 rupees to over 98,000 rupees. Or look at education. At the time of independence, there were only 20 universities and fewer than 500 colleges in the whole country. Today, there are over 5,300 universities and nearly 44,000 colleges fueling the minds of the next generation. Plus, foreign direct investment has absolutely exploded from a couple thousand million rupees to a whopping 56 million rupees. These aren't just dry statistics, they are hard proof of a nation expanding its capacity at a breakneck pace.
Moving on to Section 4, Challenges to Indian Democracy. Now, growth of this magnitude always comes with growing pains, and a realistic explainer has to acknowledge the hurdles, right? Dr. Rajesh's framework impartially identifies several deep-rooted socioeconomic challenges that currently test the fabric of the democracy. Governing a billion-plus people means you have to navigate intense cultural diversity, linguistic differences, and religious pluralism. On top of that, historical structures like the caste system, alongside ongoing economic disparities, present very real daily hurdles to achieving total equality and smooth governance.
Beyond those foundational issues, there are some highly complex systemic challenges that modern India is currently wrestling with. Rapid modernization is driving massive migration and urbanization, which really puts a strain on city infrastructure. The democracy also has to continuously navigate regionalism, separatist movements, tricky political factors, and the ever-growing influence of modern media. Balancing all of these intense pressures while simultaneously trying to lift millions out of poverty, well, that is the ultimate ongoing test of the Indian state.
And finally, Section 5, Vision for India 2047.
So, knowing this vast history, the economic momentum, and the current challenges, what is the actual roadmap to the centenary? Well, it's firmly anchored by what the Prime Minister outlined during the 75th Republic Day as the Panch Prans, or the 5 resolves. These are the specific steps required for transformation. First up is the overarching goal, develop the nation by 2047. But the next steps are deeply psychological and cultural, removing any trace of a colonial mindset and actively taking pride in the nation's ancient legacy. The final 2 resolves are all about society, strengthening unity and ensuring that citizens honestly fulfill their duties. It's a really holistic approach to national development.
Now, on a practical economic level, this vision is called Vikasit Bharat, or Developed India. And the goals here are highly specific. It demands technological advancement across space, computing, and agriculture. It targets total poverty elimination through financial inclusion schemes like the Jan Dhan Yojana and targeted subsidies. A huge cornerstone of this vision is Atmanirbhar Bharat, which means achieving true self-reliance, particularly in defense and primary production, so they can reduce imports. And of course, all of this has to be supported by building out a seriously robust, modern infrastructure of rails, roads, and airports.
But the vision definitely doesn't stop at India's borders. The absolute capstone of the 2047 roadmap is establishing a powerful global presence. India is aiming to be the undeniable global voice of the South, securing leadership roles in major international institutions like the G20, the UN, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and BRICS. The goal isn't just to be a participant in global affairs anymore, it's to be a primary architect of them. And that leaves us with a truly fascinating question to ponder. We've seen the ancient roots that stretch back millennia. We've explored the brilliant constitutional foundation, the staggering economic leaps since 1947, and this highly ambitious, concrete roadmap for the future. So as India actively builds out its robust infrastructure, tackles its complex internal challenges, and cements its global voice, what exactly will this nation look like, and what kind of power will it wield when the clock strikes 2047? It's a journey the whole world will be watching for sure. Thank you so much for learning with us today on this explainer. Keep questioning, keep focused, and I'll see you next time.